Hey everybody, it's Greenwood again with another tutorial video. Today's video I'm going to talk about properties of logarithms and doing some expanding and contracting of three different rules: the product rule, the quotient rule, and the power rule. So we'll go through expanding, we'll see if we have time to get through contracting or if that'll be in the next video, and then we'll talk about some mixed properties. So to kind of think about these, really we're just rewriting things in different ways. So it's sort of like translating, like we talked about initially with logarithms, going from logarithms to exponentials and back. This is going from multiplying logarithms. So product is multiply, and that's going to go with addition. Quotient is going to be division, and that goes with subtraction. And then power is like an exponent, and that's going to go with coefficients, we'll call them. So those are kind of the three connections: multiply and add, division with subtract, and power with coefficient. So let's look at some examples. So example one here is expanding using the product rule. So for the product rule, we have log base 3 of the quantity u times v. So multiply times is going to go with addition. So really this is as simple as just rewriting. So I'm going to rewrite this as log base 3 of u. And now to rewrite this, let's make my u look a little better. There we go. We're going to rewrite this as addition because this is multiplication. That's what that product rule says. So that multiplication means we're going to make this plus log base 3 of v. And this is all about solving problems. And you'll see applications of this as you get much farther on in math. So this is really just a very introductory level to that. So that's product rule as far as expanding. So multiplication becomes addition. So log base 3 of u times v becomes log base 3 of u plus log base 3 of v. Let's look at quotient rule. It works very similarly. We're going from division to subtraction. So we have log base 4 of u divided by v. So that's going to simplify to log, and notice the base is the same each time. So log base 4 of u. So quotient divide is going to go to subtract. We use green on this one, so that's what we used up there. Minus log base 4 of v. I'll make my u's and my v's, make sure they look different there. So that's a u, that's a v. Same thing here, u, v. Okay, so there's the quotient rule. So dividing is going to expand to subtract. And lastly, my power rule. The power is going to become the coefficient. So this thing right here is just going to go right here in the front. So we'll write this as a 4, so a big 4, not an exponent, times, and then the rest of it will stay the same, log base 8 of x. Okay, so we can move that exponent out to the front and it becomes a coefficient times that group. All right, so there's expanding. So those three are all examples of expanding, going from something smaller to something bigger to solve problems. Okay, now let's look at our quotient, our condensing logarithms. I said the wrong thing. So let's look at condensing now. So this first little bit was expanding or getting bigger. And as you can probably figure out, condensing is going to be getting smaller. So the same rules apply. So plus or addition is going to go with multiplication. And we're just going backwards here, right? Subtraction becomes division, and a coefficient will become a power. So we get log base 4 of x plus log base 4 of y. So we'll keep using green here. So green. This plus is going to become times. So to condense that, we will say that this is log base 4 of x times y. And you can put those in parentheses, or you can leave them like that. Parentheses is probably a little better. And so that is a condensing, going from something bigger to something smaller. So I think condensation, that's when water like bubbles up on something. So you go from like water vapor in the air to condensing to make a bubble, or to make a droplet, I guess, not a bubble, like a droplet on a cup on a hot summer day. So condensing, something getting smaller. Expanding is something getting bigger. So that's like the water evaporating from your cup, and you look back in an hour and it's all gone. Okay, so let's talk about quotient rule. So quotient, I used green. Oh, I think I missed my colors up, didn't I? I used blue over here. So let's use green here. This should be blue. So we're going to do quotient rule. So the opposite here for subtract to condense is going to be divide, right? So we went from divide to subtract. We'll go from subtract back to divide. So we're making this smaller. Log base 7 of, let's make sure our color is green. So a minus b. So this is going to be log base 7 of a over b. Okay, and parentheses are fine there. And then lastly, let's look at our power rule. We've got a couple examples here. So this one we have 2 log base 3 of a. So my power is acting like a coefficient. So we can rewrite this as log base 3 of a. And I think we want to write that to the second power. So like that. Let's make that actually look like a good 2 though. There we go. Okay, so there's one example. Another example I didn't show you before, but just to be thinking about is this thing. We see this fraction. I know students are like, hey, green with fractions scare me. So let's just rewrite this real fast. So this over 3, we're going to rewrite this problem as 1/3 times log base 5 of x. Okay. It's not really a 1/3 coefficient, so that means it's just going to be a 1/3 power. So we will rewrite this as log base 5 of x to the power of 1/3. And if you remember talking about this in class, 1/3 just means it's the cube root. So like the cube root of 8 is 2 because it takes 2 multiplied by itself 3 times. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, so it takes 3 2s to get to 8 when I multiply them together. So the cube root is what number times itself again gets me to my desired value. So 1/2 would be square root, 1/3 would be cube root, 1/4 would be fourth root, and so on. Okay, well there's expanding and condensing in a real quick nutshell. I hope this helped you, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.